Hey everyone, it's JFO here for another Friday High Vibes video. This video is a special edition. As you all know, we are living in the year 2020. It is a very big year and it will be in the history books. If you're watching this in the future, you're probably thinking, whoa, 2020? Last week was rough with the killing of George Floyd and so much civil unrest in our country right now and in our world. I chose to take part in a challenge to mute my voice and amplify the voices of people of color. I am learning, I am listening, and I am actively ready to be a part of the change. I am an anti-racist and I stand by the Black Lives Matter movement. I still have a lot to learn. I'm not ready to teach on this subject, obviously. So I will be sharing more soon about how I am going to be a part of that change. But last week I had no video because I really wanted to mute myself, and I completely changed up my content for this week because a lot of people are coming to me asking me what's going on with the transits of 2020, asking me if the world is ending. And so I thought, let's do a special edition video. Normally this would be something I would do in December, talking about the year ahead, right? But I'm going to do a special edition report on where all the planets are right now in the zodiac for 2020. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a history of where those planets were before. And I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive into each planet so we can understand where it was, how long it's been in the transit, and where it's going. So here we go. We're going to dive in. Now, before we do, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell so you get notified every time I have a new video. So before we dive into each planet, I wanted to teach you about what we call the personal planets versus the outer planets. Now, if you were to Google this, it would say that the outer planets are Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And it's because they move so slow through the zodiac and they affect generations way more than they affect you. Your personality is really based on the personal planets, which are Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Now, I believe in my own JFO astrology system that I would even put Saturn and Jupiter into the category of the outer planets. I truly believe that the ones that affect you the most when I'm looking at a birth chart, I'm really focusing on Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and then the destiny line. But I just want you to know for the purposes of this video that when we're talking about the year 2020 and how it's so crazy, we're really going to focus on those outer planets, those planets that move really, really, really slow. So let's start with the sun. As you know, the sun takes one entire month to go through the 30 degrees of the sign, and it takes one full year to go through the zodiac, 360 degrees. Okay, it's a circle, and that's our calendar. So we know that. Now, right now, we are currently in Gemini, which is big because Gemini season is happening. The party is in Gemini season right now because we have destiny in Gemini. And so everything's being heightened into this Gemini themes. More on that soon. But on June 20th, we're going into Cancer, which is also a big theme right now. More on that soon. Next, we have the moon, and most of you know that the moon takes 28 days to go through its full cycle. So we just had a full moon on June 5th, and it was in Sagittarius, which again is big because right now our destiny line is in the Sagittarius Gemini line. And so it was really heightening that south node of Sagittarius, that what we OD on basically. And what we OD on is that energy of, I'm going to tell the truth, I'm going to find the truth, I'm going to seek for the truth, and I'm going to take massive action without any grace. And sometimes I'm going to be a little bit, I hate to say it, but bitchy about it. Sagittarius energy. I'm a Sagittarius. Sagittarius energy, it's fire, it's raw, it's real, it preaches, and it wants to find the truth. So as you can see, there's a lot of that theme right now, this heightened energy of wanting to really get to the bottom of what's going on in our broken systems. So here is the big thing. We have 2 new moons in the sign of Cancer in a row coming up. And I've got notes here, so let me just check real quick. Our next new moon is on June 20th, and it's the first of 2 new moons in Cancer. Then on July 5th, we have the full moon, which just means the sun will be in Cancer and the moon will be opposite in Capricorn. And then on July 20th, we have our second new moon in Cancer. So this is a huge time for the energy of America. America is a Cancer. The last time Pluto was in Capricorn, which we're going to talk about in a little bit when we talk about Capricorn and Pluto, the last time it was there in that position was during when we signed the Declaration of Independence in 1776 and formed this country. So the fact that we are in this upheaval, this civil unrest right now, I mean, it's just so aligned. And so this energy of this Capricorn transformation with this Cancer of who do we want to be as a country, that's really the theme right now. And so from now all the way through July, it's going to be a really interesting time. And when we get to Mercury, we're going to talk about Mercury in retrograde. I'm back. So now we're going to talk about Mercury in retrograde. This year in 2020, every single Mercury retrograde is in a water sign. So this entire year, we're really going inward in that space of reflection. 3 times a year we do this, right, with Mercury retrograde, but we're doing it this year from a place of emotional reflection. And so this round is going to be in Cancer. Cancer is all about our survival emotion, and it's about home and family. And for this round, it's really a collective conversation about who we want to be as America, because America is a Cancer. And I'm sure you can feel that that is the focus right now. So Mercury is going to go retrograde in Cancer on June 18th, and it's going to be in okay, so 14 degrees Cancer. Now, this is how it works. 14 degrees Cancer, it's going to go backwards, and it will eventually go back direct on July 12th, but here's the kicker. We always have that shadow phase. And the shadow phase is basically we have to wait till it goes back to that original degree so it can go back forward motion, and we're finally out of that season of reflection. So that'll be on July 26th. So you really want to think of the season of reflection as June 18th to July 26th. This is a great time to go within about Cancer themes. And obviously, if you know what house your Cancer energy falls into, it's really the focus of that house. So for me, where my Cancer falls into is the house of relationships. And so my focus for this season of this retrograde in Cancer is really, how do I want to communicate, that's Mercury, in a nurturing way, that's Cancer, in my relationships, right? It's very, very simple. But collectively, we're really focusing on this nurturing and this energy of home and family and who we want to be as a country. Our next Mercury retrograde is going to be October 14th to November 3rd, and that will be in Scorpio. Next, we have Venus, and Venus usually stays in a sign for about a year. So Venus, the planet of love and passion and stability, it's ruled by Taurus and Libra, so it's really both of those themes, is in Gemini, and it's been in Gemini, but we are in a Venus retrograde. It went retrograde on May 13th, and it will stay in retrograde until June 25th. But it will not go back to that original degree of 21 degrees of Gemini until July 29th. Now, this is so big because right now you're going to see a collective theme of Cancer and Gemini. That is literally pretty much, it's really just Cancer, Gemini, Capricorn is really what's going down. There's other themes, of course, but it's just really the combination of these themes coming together. We're really figuring out who we want to be as a country. Gemini is important because our current president is a Gemini. Not only is he a Gemini, but his destiny is in Gemini, right? And that is what we're in right now. We are in Gemini season with destiny in Gemini. And so Venus being in Gemini and also being in retrograde, it's just adding more of that oomph to the Gemini energy. Gemini rules journalism. It rules studying. It rules the mind. Perception for survival. That is Gemini. It's the selling sign. It's the marketer. It's the marketplace. It's the local neighborhood. All themes that we're dealing with COVID, with the protests, with just all of the studying we're doing to really learn about racism in this country. And then, of course, the media and journalism and how people nowadays can find the truth, which is the comfort zone in Sagittarius. We're going to talk about that, by just taking video from their phone, right? And so Gemini rules technology. It rules communication. And having the retrograde about to happen, because Mercury is a Gemini planet, as you can see, again, another theme of Gemini coming up. So this is really a big thing. So if you are a Gemini or if you have Gemini in your birth chart, you might be feeling this extra right now. Now, Mars is interesting because Mars is the planet of adrenaline and aggression. And Mars stays in a sign for about 2 months. It takes about 2 years, around 2 years for it to go through the zodiac cycle. It's been in Pisces, Mars, but it's about to go into freaking Aries. Now, let's talk about that. This is big. I have my notes here. So Mars goes into Aries on June 28th. Okay, this is a really intense time, guys, on June 28th. Now, why is this intense? Because Mars rules Aries. It's the adrenaline aggression planet. Aries is aggression. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac cycle. It wants to be number one. It wants to be right. And it wants to me, right? It's just pure winner. Winner energy, hustle energy, massive action energy. And it's going to go into Aries on June 28th. But let's look at this. It'll be there all year, and this is rare. It's going to be there all year, and it's going to go through a retrograde. So it's going to go backwards. September 9th, it's going to go backwards until November 14th, and then we'll be out of that shadow phase January 2nd. And then a couple of days later, it'll finally go into Taurus. So from now till January, massive motion, massive action is going to start happening, and there's going to be a lot of feeling of aggression. Don't be surprised about that. But with that Scorpio Mercury retrograde coming up, and then you've got this Aries Mars, and then that's going in retrograde. I mean, there's just a lot happening this year, and so there's going to be more. But I want, as I'm telling you each planet here, I don't want you to freak out, because when you know, you can do better, right? So like when we know, so for example, right now, I know we're in Gemini season. I know that studying is what's going to serve me right now. The more I study right now, the better I feel, because I'm not resisting the energy, I'm with the energy. So if you need to re-watch this video and take notes so you can kind of give yourself affirmations of how you want to deal with the transits. That's the whole point of this. Like, it's a weather report. It's like saying it's going to rain and you're not going to go out without an umbrella, right? So please don't make this feel like the world's ending extra now, right? This is really here to help you. Next, we have Jupiter, and we're going to start going into these outer planets that are really generational, and it's going to be exciting. So Jupiter stays in a sign for 1 year. So it takes 12 years for it to go through the zodiac cycle. So you can think of your life in 12-year chapters. So as you can see, we're in a big theme right now of Capricorn and Gemini and Cancer, and we have Capricorn again. So Jupiter is in Capricorn. The last time Jupiter was in Capricorn was 2007 to 2008. You're going to see a big theme there. That was the last recession. You're going to see more themes as we come up into the other outer planets. And so that was the last time. It went into Capricorn at the end of last year, and it's going to go into Aquarius at the end of this year. And we are currently in a retrograde season. So it went retrograde in May, and it will not go direct until September 13th. And it looks like, obviously, it's not going to even go back to that original degree until December anyway. So again, like, it's really going to feel like kind of a little bit of a retrograde. Now, what is Jupiter? Jupiter is the planet of expansion and abundance and learning. It's the Sagittarius planet, and right now our comfort zone is in Sagittarius. So it's heightening this planet even more. And remember, this planet is in Capricorn. And guess what's with Capricorn right now? Pluto. We're going to get to that. But when everything was going down with coronavirus, Capricorn season is when coronavirus basically came to life. December. That was Capricorn season. That was when everything was in Capricorn. All of coronavirus was Capricorn, Capricorn, Capricorn. Capricorn represents systems, structures. That's a big thing right now. And now we've kind of moved out of this survival. We've got to survive through the system, like basically with the healthcare system and COVID. And it was very much about Pisces themes, because we were in a lot of Pisces energy. And so it was all about like transcending the body. And there was this focus on this like collective global focus on the body and healing and health and our healthcare systems. And so at that point, it was a system conversation about our healthcare and how we're going to deal with the marketplace, right? And then as we slowly move more into Gemini, we started to have this new thing come up of the civil unrest in our world and racism. And a lot of that shifted when our destiny line left the comfort zone of Capricorn and moved into the comfort zone of Sagittarius. That's where that shifting went. That's why now we're more in this fiery space of like perception. It's all about perception right now. We were in power and now we're in perception with the destiny line, okay? So with this Capricorn, it's still intense. It's not as intense as it was in Corona, but it's still intense, and it's all about how we're going to learn and how we're going to grow and how we're going to really just change things and find the truth. Again, that's a big theme here, finding the truth of our system. So in terms of the destiny that I keep talking about in Gemini, that went in there on May 6th. And that's when local neighborhoods started to open up. Gemini represents the local neighborhood, and it's going to be in Gemini until January 18th, 2022. So we're going to be in this theme of the Sagittarius comfort zone and the Gemini destiny for that long. And it's going to obviously bring up the Gemini and Sagittarius within you in your chart and the house that it's in. But just know that this is all about perception. Do we want to judge or do we want to learn? That is the question we are asking ourselves right now. Do I want to judge this or do I want to learn about it? And so I advise you to go the high vibe way, which is learn. When is the last time we had this destiny line? October 2001, for about 2 years, 1.5. Let's see, 2003, I think is when, April 2003 is when it left. So right after 9/11. So it's really interesting. And I really think a lot of that has to do with Sagittarius is very much a very activist sign and theme. It wants to preach very loudly and find the truth of things, and bring a spiritual meaning to the stories it's telling. It wants to tell stories. It wants to tell real stories. And that's what we're doing right now. It's more real stories instead of fake news. That is really the biggest theme of this destiny line right now, because Gemini represents the salesman, the journalist, the local neighborhood news, right? And it's also like ABC 1, 2, 3, meaning it's the schoolhouse, right? That's another thing that's being like totally, completely transformed is education, right? We're in the home with education, but Sagittarius, the comfort zone, that's more, learning hands-on and getting into the local village and being with the villagers instead of reading a book in the local neighborhood, right? And so that all this protesting is really aligned with that theme of Sagittarius. Let's talk Saturn. I'm sure you've heard of your Saturn return, right? Saturn takes 29.5 years, 29.5 years to make its full circle through the zodiac. It stays in a sign for about 2 to 3 years. That's why we call it your Saturn return right around 29, turning 30. And Saturn is the responsible planet of the zodiac. It's the parent voice. It's the Capricorn planet. See this Capricorn theme coming up again? Saturn went into Capricorn December 19th of 2017. Again, Saturn in Capricorn. But it moved into Aquarius on March 21st. So that really is shifting us into this responsibility of community, this responsibility of innovation, a new way, a breaking free. Aquarius is all about doing it outside of the box. It's about community. It's about the collective. Aquarius is all about humanitarian efforts, and it's about mental passion. Mental passion for spiritual purposes. All I did there is I did my zodiac formula. Mental, it's an air sign. Passion, it's a fixed sign. And it wants spiritual purposes because it's in the spiritual stage of astrology. So it's thinking big, right? And so when Saturn goes in there, now we are saying, how can we build our systems, Saturn rules Capricorn, systems, in a way that's more collectively supporting each other, right? It's more of a spiritual perspective here. Now we've got the Gemini stuff going on too. And so the Gemini voice is like, no, we got to survive. And the Aquarius voice is like, wait, let's also come together and try to figure this out as a group. So protesting, that's big right there, right? It's the community coming together, but from this very, very survival space of we feel like we're dying. We feel like you can't hear us, right? And so a lot of this is so astrology. It's just crazy how aligned it is. Now, Saturn went in retrograde May 11th, and it'll be there until September. Because of this retrograde, it's actually going to go back into Capricorn. See Capricorn coming up again. And Saturn is the Capricorn planet. It rules Capricorn. So when that aligns, it's a Capricorn planet in Capricorn. I mean, there's just so much Capricorn right now. Again, let's review. Capricorn is systems. It's public life. It's structure. It's spiritual logic for purposes of power. It's public life. Now you wonder, well, Jafo, there's so much Capricorn. Why does it feel like those things are like dying? We're going to get to that. Now, before we get to that, I want you to comment below and let me know in the comments, how is 2020 going for you internally? We all know what's happening externally, right? We all know the chaos of the world right now. But what's going on internally for you? Are you going through your own transformation? Are you in anxiety? Are you feeling kind of excited for what could come and what could be in your life and in the world? Comment below and let me know, and I'll help you along. So because it goes retrograde, it's going to go back into Capricorn, and we will not go back to that original degree of 1 degrees Aquarius until December. So again, it's bringing back the Capricorn. Now let's move on to Uranus. Uranus. This planet, we're starting to get really slow now. It stays in a sign for 7 years. It takes 84 years for it to go through the full zodiac. Technically, you have a return for every planet. So your Uranus return happens when you're 84 or around there. That just means it's going back to that original same sign and degree that it was in when you were born. So this is one of those planets we can really do a history lesson on with astrology. It's so cool. I should get a history buff on the show, and we can tag team, and I can share the astrology and they can share the history, and we could blow our own damn minds. So Uranus is in Taurus this year. It went into Taurus May of 2018. It stayed there for like a short little stint of about 6 months, and then I think that fall of that year it went back to Aries. And then last March of 2019 it went into Taurus, and it'll be there until 2025. So it's going to be there for a long time, but there's some retrograde. So let's look at this. I'm going to look at my notes real quick. So let's see. We've got, okay, so it'll go July 2025, and then it'll go to the next sign, which will most likely be Gemini, I think. Yeah, I think it'll go into Gemini, and then it'll go backwards, November of 2025 till April of 2026. Now, that doesn't really matter. Let's talk about what it means. Just know that it's going to do this dance until basically April of 2026. So this is a big time for money. Taurus is the money sign. Taurus is about stability. It's about worthiness. So that's another approach you can take. But Uranus is the planet of Aquarius. So here's Aquarius again, right? It's that humanitarian planet. And so when we have that humanitarian energy of passion for spiritual purposes and thoughts about that, that energy is in the sign of stability and money. And so we are going to be seeing an innovative way to do money. New ways to do money. Another way I see this as monetizing our ideas, recognizing that maybe we don't need those corporate structures really anymore, and maybe we can move into this idea that we can actually think outside of the box when it comes to money. The last time Uranus was in Taurus was a little bit of 1934, and then from 1935 to 1941. Now, I'm sure one of you could go look up the financial history of our world or our country and see what was happening in those years. But it's crazy to think that that long ago is the last time we had this specific planetary energy in this specific zodiac constellation area. It's kind of crazy, right? It's going to retrograde this year on August 16th until January 14th, and it won't go back to the original degree of 10 degrees Taurus until April of next year. It'll be interesting to see the journey of money collectively from now until April of next year. And remember, Mars is going to go into Taurus January. Right? I mentioned that before. So Mars in January of next year is going to line up with Uranus in Taurus. And so that's going to be an interesting combination, right? We've got We've got this aggressive desire to take action on our money. And then we've got this out of the box thinking of our money. 2 more planets. Neptune. Neptune stays in a sign for 14 years. It takes 165 years for Neptune to go through the whole entire zodiac. Unless someone's lived to 165, no one's living to that. So in your lifetime, you'll never see Neptune go back to that original degree and sign that it was in when you were born. How interesting is that? So Neptune is in Pisces, and this is actually the sign that it rules. So Neptune rules Pisces. It's the sign of dreams and imagination and believing in the unbelievable. It's the hope sign because it's the last sign of the zodiac cycle. It's transcending the body. But it's also the sign of wearing the rose-colored glasses and only seeing what you want to see because you just want to see the dream, or trying to follow that energy of pleasure and avoiding pain. So a lot of this could be people who are not wanting to face the truth, Sagittarius comfort zone, and they're wearing the rose-colored glasses, Neptune and Pisces. It went into Pisces in 2011. Now, it did some retrograde dancing, so it was there until August, April to August of 2011. It went back into Pisces February of 2012, and it'll be there until March of 2025. Notice another pattern here. A lot of these transits right now are leaving around 2024, 2025, 2026. The last time it was in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, 1847 to 1862. Find a history buff. What does that mean? I just think it's so cool that none of us have lived in this Neptune in Pisces. We're all experiencing it together for the first time. Think back to 2011, that's when this started. It's gonna go retrograde this month. This is a crazy month. June 23rd till November 29th. And since it moves really slow, it won't go back to the 20 degrees of Pisces until February of next year. And last but not least, Pluto. Good old Pluto. Pluto is the reason for everything right now. Pluto is the Scorpio planet. Pluto is the planet of death and transformation. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's the psychology planet. It's the planet of sex. Mars is too, a little bit. Pluto stays in a sign for about 21 years, between 14 to 30. It takes 248 years to go through the entire zodiac. Here's another pattern. Pluto went into Capricorn, death and transformation, systems and public life, January of 2008. Remember, Capricorn also represents work and career and public life and public image. This was the last recession, 2008. It'll be in the sign of Capricorn until May of 2023. Now, here's the thing. It's going to leave then, and then it's going to go back. So from June of 2023 to January of 2024, it'll go back. Then September of 2024 to November of 2024, it'll go back, and then it'll be done. So we're really in this Pluto and Capricorn energy since 2008, and it'll be officially done in 2024. Again, see this pattern here of this about 4 or 5 years? These next 4 or 5 years are so big for our world. The last time that Pluto was in Capricorn was 1762 to 1778. That means America was born then. This is huge. This is such a huge time for America right now. Now, I don't know the birthdays of every other country in this world. I don't know all of the history that's happened in our world. I'm sure you could geek out and study this stuff. It's pretty cool when you get the dates and you could really go back in time and see the patterns, see the themes. But remember, we've never had the combination of all of these planets and all these signs in this way ever in life. But as you can see, there's lots of themes here that we're dealing with. This Neptune in Pisces really got heightened back in March when everything was in Pisces, when Mercury Retrograde was in Pisces, and that was like the Corona stage 1. And now we've got civil unrest stage 2, which is basically the next part of the systems breakdown. And this time, like I said, we have our destiny in that perception theme of Sag and Gemini. And so we're really focused on getting our voice heard, stating our truth, learning, judging, and perceiving. How do we want to perceive? What is our collective perception? So I leave you with this. I would rewatch this, take some notes, jot down the dates, and start to really take each planet and see where that falls in your chart. So you can see how these themes are playing out specifically for you. That is the really cool part about transit work, especially when you can see the long-term dates. And if you want JFO's help, comment below. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please comment, share it with your friends, hit the like button, and make sure to subscribe. Come on over to www.highvibeswithjfo.com. I want you to be a part of my Vibe School. It's my free 6-day e-course where you get customized life coaching and, of course, hilarious self-help. Remember, you are a star in the movie of your life. You have a unique destiny that's special just to you. So keep shining your light, and I'll catch you next week on the High Vibe Show with JFO. Hey guys, I just want to let you know that given the state of the world and the crazy stuff that's going on, I wanted to pivot my content a little bit and do something fun for July. So I'm going to take a couple weeks off, but I will be back, I promise you. So my next video is going to be the first Friday in July. I cannot wait. The birth chart of America. And I want you to stay in touch with me. So make sure you follow me at both of my Instagram accounts. Call me JFO and Zodiac Love Guru. Stories is my jam. I'm always on stories, so definitely come check it out. And we'll talk soon. See you then. Bye.
Home, rush to see if she called or even left a message for me in a flash. All alone.